Hey guys, welcome back to the Cool Classic Kids Show. Today we're talking about Nintendo because, well, we might actually have some details as to the Switch successor. Now, a lot of us have been waiting to see what Nintendo is cooking up next. A lot of us have felt like, man, the Switch has ran its course. It's time for something a little more powerful. We kind of just want to run our Zelda games at 60 FPS and especially, action-oriented games. And well, out of the big three console manufacturers, Nintendo tends to be the most creative. Sometimes they make some really great things, such as the Switch, and then sometimes they come up with some really meh gimmicks. But it can't be denied that Nintendo definitely thinks outside the box when it comes to their next handheld slash console device, whatever it shall be. But let's get into the details because they are pretty interesting. Sources: Nintendo targets a 2024 with next gen console. So we're looking at a 2024 release potentially with the Switch successor. Key partners have development kits ahead of planned launch, sources tell VGC. Development kits for Nintendo's next console are now with key partner studios, with launch planned for next year, sources have told BGC. Guys, if it's true, y'all better start saving your pennies, man. They say, according to multiple people with knowledge of Nintendo's next gen console plans, the company is likely to release new hardware during the second half of 2024. So we're looking at anytime after June, really, to ensure that it has ample stock available on day one to avoid the kind of shortages seen with the PS5 and the Series X. Look, when it comes to Nintendo's console, there is never enough stock. It just isn't really a thing, especially if this console hits. The Switch, yo, I was lucky to have gotten my pre-order in. So lucky, and I had to settle for the gray Joy-Con controllers instead of the colorful Joy-Con controllers. Being prepared is a good sign from Nintendo, but there will not be enough consoles to satiate the market that will want them once the next console comes into fruition. That is just, it is what it is on that front. Although specific details on the console are being kept closely guarded, those VGC spoke to indicate that the next gen console would be able to be used in portable mode, similar to Nintendo Switch. So we're looking at another handheld. Wow. Two sources VGC spoke to suggested that the console could launch with an LCD screen. Oh no. No, please God, no. It just went from interesting news to, oh God, please no news. Instead of the more premium OLED that, ugh, I hope not. An LCD screen will make that handheld look instantaneously dated. In order to bring down costs, especially considering the increased storage needed for higher fidelity games. The current Switch comes with just 32 gigabytes internal memory, while many current gen PlayStation, and Xbox games are over 100 gigabytes. I mean, to be completely fair now, um, SD cards are so much more affordable than they were before. Getting that onboard memory. I mean, it's been, guys, how long has the Switch been out? 5, 6 years, whatever. Yeah, we're looking at definitely being able to get more storage on board with it. And it's not like, I'm assuming that they're not going to be using an SSD, or will they? I don't know. It's hard to really say, but I guess maybe if they're delving into SSD, space, then yeah, maybe it will be a bit costly. Like its predecessor, the new Nintendo console will also accept physical games via cartridge slot, the source said. So we're looking at back compat possibly too, I would hope. I mean, obviously it's going to be a cartridge, so that's interesting. I hope that they make a more affordable way of having cartridges, because the Switch cartridge has been a bit of a problem, to say the least. But I do really seriously hope that the Switch 2 will indeed have back compat with the Switch 1. games. Other details, such as backwards compatibility support with Switch games, physical and digital, remains unclear. Oh, come on, man! Give us the juicy deets. I have an insane amount of Switch games, not just here, not just over there, but downstairs as well. I have an insane Switch catalog of physical games, okay? And even digital as well. I bought my fair share of digital Switch games. We need back compat with the Switch too. Nintendo has said it wants to convert as many of Switch's 100 million plus user base as possible to its next system. Although some third party publishers are said to have expressed concern with legacy support for Switch games could negatively affect sales of next gen titles. Bro, it's what I talked about with, preservation. These companies are completely against preserving the historical significance of video games, and if the please don't cave to these people, Nintendo. Please do not cave to these greedy ass companies. We obviously want to play our old games. I think it's fair to at least with the first iteration of the Switch 2 to include backwards compatibility, especially for physical as well as digital games. Nintendo did not immediately respond to VGC's request for comment on the story. Tokyo-based industry consultant Dr. Serkin Toto told VGC that a 2024 console launch could make sense for Nintendo since it's projected to see double-digit declines in Switch hardware and software sales this year. Yeah, that would make sense that they would want to, smooth out their sales by launching a new console after it cleared 7 years in the market. I would generally say that looking at Switch and Nintendo's financials, it seems clear that it's time for a new piece of hardware in 2024. He said hardware is already projected to fall 16.5% year on year in the current fiscal, while the minus for software is expected to hit 16%. The only way to stop these losses from totally ballooning next fiscal is a new device, and the second half of 2024 sounds like a realistic release window to me. ReedPop, head of games, B2B, Christopher Dring, told VGC that a 2024 release could fit Nintendo's historical trend of launch hardware mid-cycle compared to PlayStation and Xbox. Yeah, Nintendo does things that honestly PlayStation and Xbox would be afraid to do. So it wouldn't surprise me if literally in the June of next year, they would launch the Switch or shit. I mean, the Switch 2. I mean, but the original Switch launched in I believe like March, if I'm not mistaken. So that's really unheard of. It's very weird. Nintendo does what it wants to do because, well, they got the pull like that. Okay, like Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, not so much. The original Switch released over 3 years after PS4 Xbox One, which proved to be an effective move for Nintendo. A second half 2024 release for Switch 2 would be nearly 4 years after PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. So we would see a similar mid-cycle launch for Nintendo. Yeah, that would definitely be the case. And something new when everything else is kind of samey would be good. But I also, at some point, PlayStation and maybe Xbox will be launching their mid-gen, stronger consoles, their pro models, I guess you could say. And even for PlayStation, they will probably launch their mini PS5 or whatever have you. So that's going to be interesting. Nintendo could be competing with that. Who knows? I'd argue that unlike 2017, Microsoft and Sony's consoles still feel relatively new at the moment, particularly due to component shortages slowing the rollout in the first 2 years and software delays, meaning we've not seen too many titles take full advantage of either PS5 and Series X. Meanwhile, they're about to drop Pro models, or at least on the PS5 side. So it's to be seen whether Nintendo will enjoy the same benefit. However, the biggest competitor Nintendo faces is itself. Although its core fans are eager for more hardware, its more family-oriented casual fans will need more convincing. Look, the hardcore fans for Nintendo are extremely strong. We've seen it during the during this generation, particularly with sales of games, the sales of games have been insane. I have bought like fucking 3 Switches. Okay, like let me check. I'm losing count. I got the original Switch. I got the updated, slightly better battery life model Switch. I got the Switch Lite. Yeah. I bought 3 Switches and was considering the OLED model. Um, and I'm not even that big of a hardcore Nintendo fangirl by any means. So I don't think Nintendo, as long as Nintendo puts out a dope console that isn't gimmick oriented and it plays, handheld or on the TV, kind of both of those things, and it's a successor to the Switch, it will they can prove that, oh, this is going to be a big leap for our games with this console, and it probably has a name that's easily distinguished from the Switch. And because like with the Wii and the Wii U, that didn't really go too well. As long as they don't make the mistakes of the past with their failed consoles, I think that Nintendo will have no problem getting their console out there and convincing consumers to buy. Nintendo, um, let me see. What will the next Mario Kart offer that they're currently not getting from the current one, for example? Well, something new, something fresh. Um, Preferably a new angle or a new gimmick for Mario Kart. Like with Mario Kart 8, it's like gravity related, maybe something like that. Obviously people have been playing Mario Kart 8 since the Wii U. A lot of Mario Kart fans are begging for a new experience, even though they are getting new tracks. The new tracks are cool, but they are recycled from previous Mario Kart games. So while it is nice to add more to the rotation, there are people that are very heavily weighting Mario Kart 9, and Mario Kart has carried this generation. Mario Kart 8 will not stop selling. And I guess that's why we haven't seen a successor to Mario Kart 8. It will be hard to take the next step from Mario Kart 8 since it is such a damn good kart racing title. It's definitely one of my all-time favorite games, even, I could say. I bought a Wii U specifically for Mario Kart 8 and was absolutely addicted to that game for the entire summer. That I had bought the Wii U during the summer. I forget what year, but I had played Mario Kart 8 consistently throughout the entire summer. I remember my friends will remember hearing the Mario Kart 8 music in the background while we're in PlayStation chat. Okay, that was me playing it so insanely much. I managed to convince a few other homies to get the game. Uh, a Mario Kart 9 successor would be amazing. That would get me excited. I'm not really excited to go pay for Nintendo Online to play Mario Kart here and there. I just don't play it as much as I used to back when I was clearly addicted to the game. So they Nintendo knows how to think outside the box. I thought we would never see another 2D Mario again, but look at Mario Wonder coming to fruition. Mario Maker, I thought for sure kind of just destroyed 2D Mario. There's just no point to 2D Mario, I thought. And look at Mario Wonder. Nintendo can clearly think outside the box. Nintendo has struggled to upgrade players in previous generations, so how it approaches things like digital libraries and Nintendo accounts, even backwards compatibility, may prove crucial to the next system getting off to a strong start. Look, man, I will say this. They bring up a really good point here. If I can't play my Switch games on the Switch successor, that could very drastically determine whether I buy the Switch successor or not. A lot of people have built insane libraries with the Switch, uh, both physical as well as digital. My digital library and my physical Switch game library is insane. Yes, I want to play old games on the Switch too, especially since the Switch 2 is probably not going to have an insane launch of games. I mean, obviously, there will be that one game that we can count on in the very least, and then third party will put out their bullshitters for the most part, but we need to be able to play a lot of our older titles and even give us some upgrades to those titles. If you're telling me, I was iffy on Legend of Zelda what you call it, Tears of the Kingdom. I didn't even buy it. But if you're gonna tell me, oh well, when the Switch 2 launches, you're gonna be able to play, Tears of the Kingdom, and we're even going to unlock the frame rate and give it a resolution boost for you if you do, bro. The incentive for me to go run out and buy Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom and the Switch 2 would be heavily increased because that would be the ultimate way, in my opinion, to play the game. I mean, obviously, we can resort to emulators and whatnot, but if you're telling me that I can play Tears of the Kingdom at 1080p or even 1440p docked, and it runs at locked 60, oh, that's a huge deal. A absolute huge deal. That would be, potentially 100 plus hours of my playtime, which could easily justify a Switch 2, in my opinion. But we continue. If Nintendo does release the Switch's successor closer to Christmas, Ding said he'd expect a deeper launch lineup for what we saw from the first Switch, which arrived early in its launch year. In 2017, Nintendo spread out its releases with a big game arriving almost every month, he said. By the time the holiday period arrived, the firm had Mario, Zelda, Splatoon, and Mario Kart, plus a number of smaller titles like Arms and Xenoblade. Oh my god, what a piece of crap Arms was. And I bought it too. That game got like maybe 3 hours of playtime to push the console over the critical Christmas sales window. Honestly speaking, I think that it's in Nintendo's best interest to get this system out um before the holiday season, like well before the holiday season. Like I think a May June release would be good because there is a high possibility that the PS5 Pro is going to come out for the holiday. That's when PlayStation drops their new consoles, that October November timeframe, give or take. So if Nintendo could start to get their console out prior to that and have a decent install base prior to that, they would have to, if PlayStation 5 Pro does come out during the 2024 holiday season, they won't um have to struggle to compete nearly as much. And I'm not saying that um look, man, Nintendo's gonna sell gangbangers as long as they keep to what they're good at. Don't do gimmicks, have decent games, give us upgrades to Switch titles. That would be amazing. Preferably without having to rebuy the Switch titles. That's a big reason why I'm kind of like on buying new Switch games nowadays, even though I already have an insane library in its own right. Because I really do feel like a lot of these games might get re-released and you would technically have to repurchase them. We will definitely have to deal with the reality that Switch games are now going to be $70 too, even if they don't offer 4K, even if they don't offer 60 FPS. That sadly is going to be the case. I mean, hell, they've already done it with Nintendo Switch games now before we even had a successor console. So there's definitely going to be some things we're going to have to learn how to live with, unless, well, Nintendo's console gets cracked again. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think about this. It's interesting to see we're finally talking about the Switch successor, and there's some interesting, tangible news here. So let me know what you think. Are you a Switch fan? Are you definitely going to upgrade whenever they do drop the Switch successor? Let me know what you think about this information in the comment section down below. If you can, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me over on Twitter or Kick if you'd like to continue the conversation. I will not be calling Twitter X, so it is what it is on that front. And yeah, guys, with all that being said, I am out. Peace.